Big hello to everyone who is watching our first YouTube live stream at the moment. We already have 2 viewers, or the recording of this week's growth call. So as I said already, fingers crossed that everything works like a charm, as it's our first time here on YouTube. This time we published both the live video stream URL and the Google Hangout invite link for everyone, so you can join the conversation either way. If you watch the live stream on YouTube, feel free to post any remarks or just say hello in the live chat next to the video. I think it's over there. And I'll try to monitor the chat as close as possible. I think we start. I'm Christoph and I'm running the growth call today. Thanks again, as always, to Christoph Sacher for writing down the meeting minutes after the call. We'll post it down below in the descriptions. Today's meeting will run roughly for 45 minutes, so let's start. For everyone who is joining us for the first time, our growth calls are about exchange learnings on our run experiments, where we try to grow the Bisq network. We decided last December to focus for the next 2 months just on liquidity, on growing liquidity on Bisq. So this means we want to increase the number of of buy and sell offers on the platform. So it's easier for new traders who join Bisq to take offers. Otherwise, they need to create offers themselves. So on last week's growth call, we decided to put out a couple of Bisq bounties. Maybe before I start pointing them out, what are Bisq bounties? So Bisq bounties are tasks that support the Bisq network that anyone can take and fulfill to earn Bisq tokens. We post the bounties normally on GitHub. Just look for the Bisq bounty label. And we also try to share them on as many channels as possible. So after this call, I'll also post the links on all the bounties in the description below. So after last week's call, Felix put out bounties for first trades on specific markets. So to speak for India, Russia, Argentina, Korea, Philippines, Ghana, Kenya, and Nigeria. I hope I didn't miss any of the markets. So if you are living in one of these countries, please talk to us either on GitHub or in the Slack growth channel. So if you want to take these bounties. The same goes for video tutorials on how to trade on Bisq. We already have one for Euro here on the channel. So we're looking for video tutorials for US dollars and yen. The bounty for Great Britain is already taken by Liam C, who is, I hope I pronounce it correctly, who is working on it right now. So thanks for that. So let's see. Based on the discussions we had on the Slack channel and on GitHub, we have a following agenda today. We want to talk about the US dollar Bitcoin liquidity week we want to run as soon as possible. So we want to talk which payment methods do we want to cover, what about possible participants, and how we want to market this. To make it easier to run these liquidity weeks, we already created a draft of a kind of playbook, how to do it best based on the experience we had from our first liquidity week for the Euro Bitcoin market last year. We also want to talk about how we can it more interesting or rewarding for market makers, just liquidity providers, or everyone who participates in this kind of activity in general. And Felix will give us a short overview of his tech tree. More to this later. Then let's get into the first topic, planning of the US dollar Bitcoin liquidity week. So what do we mean with liquidity week? We try to provide enough buy and sell offers for a certain market where Bisq is not very popular at the moment, at least, to make it easy for new traders to complete the first trade, so to take the first offer. So what do we mean with enough? And here I think it would be a good point, Felix, for you to maybe share the tech tree and quickly go over what we want to achieve for this kind of liquidity experiments.
But let me first say that for euros, I'm very impressed by the liquidity currently available. If you're a new user coming to use Bisq for the first time and you want to buy a fraction of a Bitcoin, you will find it very easy to do in euros right now. During European hours, there's normally at least 10 offers on each side. So that's what we want to reach for dollars and eventually for as many currencies as possible. For dollars, there are trades every day. If you look at the trades done in dollars for the past 6 days, you will see that every day there's some trades. So we have traders, but they're not very visible. There's not orders permanently placed on the market which a newcomer will see and can choose from immediately. So that's something we want to improve. Because it's hard to coordinate many different traders in many different time zones. It's a good idea to try and do an event. It can be a day, but we've seen that a week works relatively well, in which we try to attract new traders and ask them to at least place one order on the market. And you know, the minute that people arrive and see there's a few buy orders and a few sell orders, you don't need much. They will start piling on and they will start adding their own, and we see volumes go up by a lot. Because there's very few Bisq collaborators at the moment and only a few traders, we can't focus on everything. So a good idea is to try to focus on one currency at a time, and then as we grow, we can increase the number of currencies we do simultaneously. So in December, we focused on euros, and that's going very well. And the idea is to do a liquidity week for dollars soon. I would want to do it before the end of January, but we can maybe do it at the beginning of February. We will discuss. And just a minute. We will discuss when to do the dollar liquidity week and then move on to other currencies. So on that subject, I've prepared a kind of roadmap that we can use. Can you see it, Christoph? Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, so it's basically a very simple list of currency pairs that we can use. And then how far we've come along in each of them. You will see that there's the testing phase for each payment method and currency. Then there's liquidity 1, which is the liquidity 0, sorry, which is the first trade that's been done. Then there's liquidity 1, which is a minimal order book. That means that there's at least one offer on each side. So if someone comes along and wants to buy or sell, they will have something to do. Then there's liquidity 2, which is at least 10 offers on the order book and basically a bit of choice. And then we advance from there. Realistically, our target has to be to get to liquidity 2, which is a retail order book for the major currencies, euros, dollars, pounds, and so on. And then anything else is a bonus. So if we start off with, we've gotten quite far with euros. It's working very well. There's many trades every day. Dollars is at the minimal stage. We can, with the liquidity week, we can push it to retail order book, which I call it, which is at least, you know, a handful of traders and a bit of choice. Then we can move on over the month of February. We can move on to the other major currencies, pounds, Canadian dollars, francs, and so on. And then at the same time, we are offering bounties for the first trade in some currencies which we think are important as they represent large markets, but where there's been no activity yet. Obviously, nobody's going to just do this only for the bounty, but it's a nice added bonus or incentive for someone who's already thinking of trying out Bisq in their country and there's nothing there at the moment and nobody else is using it. You can see Nigerian naira, Indian rupees, and Argentinian pesos, Korean won, all the ones that Christoph mentioned earlier. Then a lot later, we will advance to other things like trying to optimize cost, trying to improve privacy, trying to connect APIs, all of that. But for the time being, we're just focusing on major currencies and widely used payment methods. So, for example, at the moment, we don't have many payment methods for US dollars. Zeller is being used quite a bit. It's also not included here, but Chase QuickPay is being used sometimes. One of the first things we need to do, by the way, this tech tree will be available for everyone to see. It's linked in the Slack channel, etc.
Yeah,
Now,
we'll also post it below. Yeah.
You can examine it at your leisure, and anyone who feel free to edit it and add more currencies and payment methods. As I was saying, the main focus now is dollars. But before we push for a liquidity week, there's two things we really should have. One is market research on payment methods, because there are many payment methods that we could include that might help a lot of traders to trade dollars comfortably. And the second one, as you already mentioned, is a tutorial. If we're going to reach out to potential traders and users and tell them, please participate in our liquidity week, please place at least one order and try it out, you want to be able to show them a tutorial so they know how to do that. And so as you mentioned, there's a bounty offered of 200 BSQ per US dollar video tutorial. Anyone who knows how to use Bisq can do a screen cap recording and can probably record something we can use in about 10 minutes. Just record a real trade and then edit out the bits you don't want to show for privacy reasons. That's all and then you can maybe add a voiceover explaining what you do. Or you can collaborate with, just send us the recording of a dollar trade and we'll edit and we'll find someone who can add the voiceover. But that would be very useful, because if we're going to reach out to traders who frequently trade Bitcoin on other platforms for dollars, say local Bitcoins or Paxful or any other P2P markets, and tell them try Bisq out, it's easier if we have some introduction or guide. It speeds things up. Yeah, so that's mostly it. There's also you can stop presenting my we're also going to try and offer a number of bounties for every step of the way. This is a suggestion. Obviously, it'll have to be accepted, but the idea is, if you give us some basic research that we can use on payment methods, which ones have chargebacks, which ones have fraud, which ones are final, so on, for your country. I'm thinking, for example, of M-Pesa for Kenya, or there's MTEL for Ghana and several Central African countries. If you can give us some foot on the ground, real intel on this, we will give you a small bounty. Then if you do the first trade, we'll give you another bounty. And then if you do a video tutorial, there's a much larger bounty. And then there's a small bounty for every person that participates in Liquidity Week. This means that someone who's completely new to Bisq has a few tasks that they can do in their country to push Bisq along, and can become part of the DAO and be part of the community and earn a bit of a reward.
Yeah, regarding the payment methods you've mentioned, so for the research, it should be, I guess, a new one. If they are looking at your spreadsheet, all these payment methods that you mentioned there, they are already on Bisq. Am I right? Or are these also new ones?
The ones that are in green in the spreadsheet, maybe it's not complete. I've researched I think 50 currencies, but there's obviously many more available. But I've tried to make it as accurate as possible. There's a couple missing there. I think Chase QuickPay for the US. And there's something in Canada I haven't included, but feel free to include them. Anyone can edit it. And obviously, for the research bounty, we should, we would ask for someone to submit a small report saying, what do people use? What works? What's used on other platforms? What's the most widespread payment method in your country? I'm thinking, for example, in China, is it better? We already have Alipay included. There hasn't been any trades with Alipay. Oh, there was one many, many months ago. But there's, for example, WeChat Pay. I don't know if WeChat Pay would work with Bisq, or if there's some chargeback functionality or some prohibition in the terms of use that I don't know about. We need someone to just look at it, someone who knows, to tell us about it. It doesn't have to be much, just a small bit of text saying, hey guys, if you include WeChat Pay for China, a lot of people would use it and there's no chargeback risk. That would be helpful.
Yeah, regarding payment methods, we also have a document on the website. What are the preconditions of a payment method we want to add? So Felix already mentioned that we want to prevent any an easy chargeback, so people can just try to cheat people over. So I will also post a link to this document below afterwards. And Felix, for the first trade, I think it doesn't matter which payment method the user is using for this country, as long as it's available and he thinks it's a good payment method for this country. I think you can just take it.
Yeah, it's a hook. I mean, nobody who's not trading Bitcoins is going to learn everything about Bisq just to earn that bounty. But if you're already trading Bitcoins on other platforms and you want to try out Bisq, hey, be the first and earn a bounty. And obviously, if you report on it and give us some suggestions, even better, because and obviously you have to go to GitHub to claim the bounty. So, you become part of the community and we start the conversation, and then we will have some way to reach you, to ask you to participate in Liquidity Week. And maybe, if we have someone from Kenya doing the first trade, that's going to be the first person to talk to do the video tutorial. That's going to be the first person to talk to do a bit of community management in Kenya, to reach out to other traders, to promote the Liquidity Week. Much of what we can do, since it's all dependent on volunteers, will come as part of someone taking the initiative. So we don't have time to focus on everything. We're pushing the big things, dollars, euros. But if someone comes along from Ghana, or from Mauritius, or from South Africa saying, hey guys, please do this, we will help. We will, of course, make that a priority. So say the plan, the sort of idea of the plan is, we focused on euros last year. We're focusing on dollars in January and February. Then March is open. So if someone comes along from India who wants to do stuff, India will be priority, rupees will be a priority in March. That's the way it works. If this guy's willing to do the work, we will create the rewards and we will create the incentives for them to feel like they're being welcome. And we will give them support and make sure we include the payment methods they want in the next releases, etc., etc.
Yeah, and regarding video tutorials, do we want to have them now exclusively in English, even if, let's say, if it's Indian rupees, or can they also be already in local? So if the command is in local language.
I mean,
whatever.
We can't exactly be very picky, and ideally, we would have them in the most widely spoken local language with English subtitles. Since they're very repetitive, we don't add much value by having an English video on how to trade with yuan, with using Alipay, when we already have the Euro one, which covers 90% of the ground except for the different payment method. Plus, there's things that might be different in China. For example, I've had people who couldn't connect at all. I've tried to talk to some people who wanted to help from China, and they tried to connect, they couldn't connect. So there might be some specifics for each country, and that's why we don't want someone. I mean, we could churn out a bunch of video tutorials from Europe, right? But we could fake the payment or use international payment method that happens to have yuan. But that's not what we want. We want people locally who know the local problems, who know what's the most widely used local payment method that can be used safely, and who does a real trade. And that way we find out the problems we need to fix. So yeah, ideally, most widely spoken local language with English subtitles would be nice. But, at the moment, we only have one video tutorial. If anyone comes along with any kind of video tutorial, I say we should reward them without being extremely picky.
Yeah, and really don't be afraid. You can have a look at the existing video tutorial. It's really just a screen grab. You can do it with your operating system. Just cut it together roughly, the process, and you're good to go. So it's really not a lot of work. And yeah, you join the Bisq DAO and get real Bisq tokens for it. You can trade later on.
I feel, sorry, Christopher, I mean, most people who are watching it probably know, but just in case there's someone new around, Bisq is the only truly trustless decentralized market that exists for Bitcoin. There's many countries where, as regulators start paying attention, companies and payment methods and markets will get closed, they will get censored. We've seen that in China, in Korea. We're seeing not always complete closing down, but there's many restrictions placed. The point of Bisq is that it is uncensorable, it is resilient, it can work in places where nothing else can work. Plus, your funds are never at risk because you are custodian, fully in control of your Bitcoins all the time, except for during the trade when it's a multi-sig escrow. But even there, it's very, very hard you have to trust the arbitrators, but in 90% of trades, they never have anything to say. Yeah. And eventually there will be a bunch of arbitrators to choose from as the DAO advances. So the advantages of Bisq in the long term are huge. We've all seen many Bitcoin cryptocurrency exchanges go bust or do an exit scam or be regulated out of existence, or having banks block transactions. Hopefully Bisq will help us solve that in the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. Good that you mentioned that. And to have this offering not only in the euro and US dollar market, we really need you guys to support us, to create offers, to trade on Bisq, to just kickstart and bootstrap this new markets for the sake of everyone. As I mentioned already, I will add all the links, Bisq Bounties we talked about after the call, just right below in the description. And we're really looking forward just talking to you guys, either on Slack, GitHub, just reach out to us. We are very responsive and help us grow Bisq to save the cryptocurrency trading market, basically.
It only takes two traders to create a market. So if you're already trading on local Bitcoins or on Pax4 or via Telegram chats, there's all these Telegram groups where cryptocurrencies are traded. Or if you have a new cryptocurrency that you want to include, Bisq is the only exchange with a transparent, accessible to everyone way of listing new tokens. So if you have a community, this is a very good place to come. It's completely open. It's a DAO. It's not a for-profit company. Although there should, I think, thinking in the long term, there should be some kind of at least sustainable business model. At the moment, it's all volunteer work. And yeah, it only takes two to trade. So just talk to a friend you were thinking of doing a Bitcoin transaction with and tell them to do a trade on Bisq for a small amount and claim that, be the first for your currency.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, is there anything else you want to discuss today, Felix? Or I think we have covered everything that we talked about, basically. Yes, so.
Yeah, I think that's enough for today. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, okay. So thanks everyone for joining us today. live or for watching the recording afterward. We'll have this growth call every week, so join us next week. And please also, after this call, just check out all the links I will post immediately and help to grow Bisq. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.